Well, as you heard, another eventful day out there on the trail. They had the costings released from the Labor Shadow Treasurer, Shadow Finance Minister, unemployment data out there from the government side. Let's talk to our two Sky News reporters who've been on the road with the leaders today. Anthony Albanese started his day in Bennelong. That's, of course, the seat where the Liberal John Alexander is retiring, before he headed to Brisbane as part of this 48-hour blitz. As I said, don't believe that spin. But before he did that, he kicked off that war with the media pack, tried to leave them all behind. Jonathan Lee was with the Labor leader and he's filed this report.
Peter, it's the late afternoon, we're back on the bus and we're currently heading to the airport. But it has certainly been a day to remember for the travelling press pack. The Labor leader eventually addressed the travelling media about the opposition's larger budget deficits, which work out roughly to be an extra $2 billion in spending above the coalition's, once savings are taken into account. Though Mr Albanese rejects the notion the additional spending with borrowed money would inflame inflation.
The way that you can boost wages and boost profits without putting pressure on inflation is by making sure that you boost productivity. And the measures that we're aimed at here, whether it's childcare, whether it's clean energy or skills and training.
The Labor plan was to have Mr Albanese address the media this morning in Sydney, which he did before departing with long-standing convention and sending the press pack on to Canberra for the costings announcement with the Shadow Treasurer, all as he travelled on to Brisbane, preventing travelling journalists from asking him questions about Labor's higher spending agenda. After firm resistance, that changed.
I would miss you dearly, and I'll miss you dearly when this campaign is over. I'm happy for you to come with me wherever.
We were brought to Brisbane, where a media conference was later convened. Anthony Albanese has campaigned on being transparent and upfront with Australians. Earlier this morning, he made another blunder, this time on borders, declaring them closed before later clarifying. There is now just one day until voting day, yet millions of Australians have already voted. It's hard to know if the swing is on, with the media events so tightly managed.
Now, before we check in with the Prime Minister's team, I've got an update from Jonathan Lee just as we went to air tonight. And it would appear, while the media pack is headed to Canberra this evening, the opposition leader has headed to Sydney. Now, he's been trying to lose the journalists all day. If it's accurate, it looks like he's succeeded. We'll have more as it comes to light further in the show. Now to Scott Morrison, who began his day down in Tasmania before heading to the New South Wales electorate of Werriwa. Now, that's a fairly safe Labor seat, so an interesting move. And while he was there, he was spruiking the latest fall in the unemployment rate. Andrew Crothers was with the Prime Minister.
In Tasmania, the Prime Minister attempting to show he's a good sport after Wednesday's now viral stumble.
And he probably came off a little better than I did last night because I hit the ground with quite a thud. But he's a great sport and he's a great kid. He shared with me all of his great sporting highlights as a young soccer player in Tassie. He told me he got 3 hat-tricks with goals, and he's looking forward to his next outing. And he's got a story to tell his mates today, and I suspect a yarn he'll be able to spin for many, many years to come.
So we were playing soccer, and I think someone tries to pass it to me or Mr. Morrison, and what happened, he tripped and he was trying not to fall on top of me, so he tried to fall underneath me. It should have been a penalty.
Working to rebuild support in Labor-held Lions, Scott Morrison returned to the foundations of his re-election pitch. New figures released 2 days out from polling day show Australia's jobless rate has fallen from 4% to 3.9%, the lowest level since August 1974. The coalition has long argued driving unemployment down will push pay packets up. But as Australians are confronted with the climbing cost of living, inflation rising at twice the rate of wages, the Prime Minister was pushed on how much the unemployment rate means to people struggling to pay the bills.
You're saying, what is the comfort of a low unemployment rate? If you don't have a job, you don't have choices.
Clashing with journalists just days after promising change to be more empathetic.
The empathy in particular I've been able to demonstrate is the empathy that comes with action.
40% of Australians have already had their say through pre-poll or postal voting. But every remaining vote could count, and both sides will be hoping to avoid any more unforced errors before it's game, set and match. Andrea Crothers, Sky News.
Here you go, Frank. Ready? Ready to go?